Have you ever felt like the world isn't listening anymore? Like your words, your years of wisdom, your quiet strength are somehow invisible. As we grow older, respect becomes even more important, not just from others, but from within ourselves. It's not about demanding attention, but about living in such a way that respect becomes the natural echo of your presence. And in the stillness of Buddhist wisdom, there lies a timeless path toward that kind of quiet power. Today, I want to share with you a story that doesn't belong to one culture or religion. It belongs to all of us who've lived long enough to understand that peace, compassion, and dignity are not just ideals, but choices. Choices we make every day. This journey is inspired by 18 gentle but powerful teachings from Buddhism. Lessons that can transform how the world sees you simply by transforming how you see yourself. Let's begin not with a doctrine, but with a simple breath. The very first lesson, perhaps the most important one, is mindfulness. You may have heard this word tossed around a lot lately, but in the Buddhist tradition, mindfulness is not a trend. It's a way of being. It means being truly present, not lost in regret about yesterday or in fear of tomorrow. Just here, just now. Take a moment, wherever you are. Notice your breath, the rise and fall of it, the sound in the room, the feel of the chair beneath you. This, right here, is your life. When you are fully present in your life, people feel it. They sense your steadiness, your clarity, your grace, and they respect it. Because someone who is calm in the present moment holds a kind of strength that can't be faked. Now, mindfulness isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you cultivate. You can practice it in many simple ways. For instance, have you ever tried a mindful walk? Just stepping slowly, feeling the ground beneath your feet, noticing the colors of the leaves or the texture of the air. You don't need a temple or a guru, just your own attention. And that attention, over time, becomes power. Another way to live more mindfully is through your breath. A few slow, deep breaths, especially in moments of stress or irritation, can change everything. It's like a reset button for your nervous system, and it tells those around you that you are in control, not in a forceful way, but in a gentle, grounded way. That kind of presence earns respect more deeply than any argument ever could. But mindfulness alone is only the beginning. As your awareness grows, so does your compassion. And that brings us to the second lesson, compassion, not just toward others, but toward yourself. I once met an elderly woman named Margaret at a local community center. She had this gentle smile, like someone who had forgiven the world many times over. When I asked her what her secret was, she said, "I learned to be kind to myself first. Then I had something real to offer others." That stuck with me, because we're often so hard on ourselves, thinking we should have done more, been more, said less. But Buddhism teaches us that real compassion begins at home, in our own hearts. When you learn to hold your own pain with kindness, you become much more capable of holding space for others. You become the kind of person people want to be near, not because you're perfect, but because your presence feels safe. You don't have to do grand things to live compassionately. Small acts matter. A smile to someone who looks lonely. A listening ear to a friend in need. A word of encouragement to a young person who's lost their way. These are not small, they are sacred, and they build a legacy of respect that outlasts words. Let's not forget another deep truth of Buddhist teaching: impermanence. This third lesson reminds us that everything, every single thing is changing. The seasons, our bodies, our relationships, even our emotions. Nothing stays the same forever. And that can be frightening, yes, but it can also be freeing. When you accept that nothing is permanent, you stop clinging so tightly. You learn to let go, not in bitterness, but in grace. You let go of needing to control others. You let go of needing to prove anything. And that freedom gives you a quiet strength, the kind of strength that says, I am okay with what is. That kind of peace is powerful, and people respect those who have it because it's so rare. So how do we live with impermanence? Start by noticing the little things you hold on to. Is it an argument from long ago? An expectation of how someone should behave? A regret you can't undo? Then ask yourself gently, can I loosen my grip just a little? Can I make peace with the fact that life is moving and so am I? Margaret told me once that when her husband passed away, she thought she would never feel whole again. But one morning, while watching the sun rise from her porch, she realized that the love they shared hadn't ended. It had changed form. And in that moment, she smiled. She said, I started loving the world again that day. This is the wisdom of impermanence. It teaches us not to fear change, but to find meaning within it. And that brings us gently to the fourth lesson, non-attachment. A teaching closely related to impermanence, but slightly different. While impermanence shows us that things will change, non-attachment shows us how to live in harmony with that truth. It doesn't mean we shouldn't care. It means we love without clinging. We do our best without needing specific results. We enjoy beauty without needing to possess it. It's not easy, especially in a world that constantly tells us to hold tighter, to want more, to never let go. But the truth is, when we release our grip, we become lighter, freer, more dignified. People see that and feel it. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to right now that might be holding you back? What would happen if you could simply let it be? These first few lessons, mindfulness, compassion, impermanence, and non-attachment, are more than just ideas. They are quiet doorways to a more peaceful, respected, and fulfilled life. And they are available to you right now, no matter your age or your past. Let's continue this path together in the next part, where we'll look at how the way we speak, the way we listen, and the way we carry ourselves can turn every moment into an invitation for deeper respect, not just from others, but from within. As we move deeper into this journey, let's pause for a moment and consider something we often take for granted: our puns, the things we say, the tone we use, the silence we choose. Words are like seeds, and once spoken, they grow, sometimes into flowers, sometimes into thorns. In Buddhism, The idea of right speech is not just about avoiding lies. It's about choosing words that heal rather than harm, that bring clarity instead of confusion, that show care instead of contempt. Let me tell you about Harold. He was a retired teacher I met during a workshop on mindful living. In his younger years, he admitted he had a sharp tongue. He used to speak without thinking, quick to criticize, and even quicker to correct. I was proud of being right, he told me, but I lost friends because of how I said things, not what I said. When Harold discovered Buddhist teachings, something shifted. He started pausing before speaking, asking himself, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Slowly, the way people responded to him changed. He wasn't just heard, he was respected. Because words, when spoken with care, become bridges instead of barriers. You don't need fancy language or grand speeches. Even simple words like, thank you, I'm listening, or I understand, carry so much weight when they come from a place of sincerity. And sometimes, silence speaks the loudest. Just being present, truly present, when someone else is speaking, that's a gift. One that tells them, you matter. And that is how respect begins. But words alone aren't enough. Which brings us to our sixth lesson, patience. Oh, what a difficult virtue, especially in a world that moves faster than our hearts sometimes can keep up. But patience isn't about waiting passively. It's about standing still in a storm without letting it change your nature. Imagine this: a long line at the doctor's office, a delayed phone call from your children, a young person speaking over you during a conversation. How do we respond? With irritation or with the calm of someone who knows that rushing rarely solves anything? There's strength in patience, and it shows. It tells others, I'm not ruled by every little disruption. I carry my peace with me. People notice that, and they admire it. Harold once told me something beautiful. He said, the older I get, the more I realize I'm not racing anymore. I'm walking. And when you walk, you notice more. That's what patience gives us, not just respect, but presence. And presence is powerful. From patience grows another rare jewel, gratitude. That's our seventh lesson. And if you're wondering how gratitude relates to being respected, let me share this. People are drawn to those who appreciate life, who see beauty in small things, who give thanks even in quiet ways. There was a woman named Ellen I knew who kept a gratitude notebook. Every morning, she'd write down 3 things. My garden is blooming. My grandson called me yesterday. I heard birdsong while making tea. Simple things, but profound. That notebook changed the way she moved through the world. She became someone who radiated contentment, and that radiance made others stop, take notice, and treat her with admiration. You see, when you're truly grateful, not just saying thank you, but feeling it, you stop needing more to be enough. You become satisfied in the moment. And people sense that stability, that quiet joy. They come to you not because they want something, but because they feel something good in your presence. So how do you practice gratitude in daily life? It doesn't need to be dramatic. You can start right now. Look around. What do you see? Maybe it's a comfortable chair, a patch of sunlight, the sound of wind outside your window. Maybe it's just the fact that you're here, still learning, still growing. Gratitude opens the door to grace, and grace earns respect in a way that force or fear never can. And now we arrive at a lesson that ties many others together: self-reflection. This is the quiet, often uncomfortable act of looking inward, of asking, why did I say that? What was I really feeling? Am I living in alignment with what matters to me? Buddhism doesn't ask us to be perfect. It invites us to be honest. And that honesty begins with self-inquiry, not harsh judgment, but gentle examination. One of the most respected elders I ever met, a man named James, told me something I'll never forget. Every night before bed, he said, I ask myself, was I proud of the way I acted today? If the answer is no, I don't punish myself. I just try to do better tomorrow. That simple ritual, 5 minutes of reflection, made James a man whose opinion people valued, because they knew he didn't just speak wisdom, he lived it. Self-reflection doesn't mean obsessing over mistakes. It means learning from them, growing with them. And that kind of inner work shines through. It makes you trustworthy. It makes you real. And realness is deeply, quietly respected. So far, we've journeyed through powerful inner landscapes: our breath, our words, our patience, our gratitude, and our ability to self-reflect. These are not dramatic changes. They are small, gentle shifts, but they are powerful beyond measure. They change the way you sit in a room, the way you speak to a stranger, the way others feel when they're near you. Because here's the quiet truth: when you live with calm, with kindness, and with thoughtfulness, you don't have to ask for respect. You become it. Let's keep walking this path together. In the final part, we'll explore the last group of lessons: humility, forgiveness, inner peace, and more. Each one a stepping stone toward a life where disrespect has no room to grow. Because the garden of your spirit is already so full, so rich, so radiant. As we walk further along this path of inner wisdom, one quality starts to gently emerge in those who have truly practiced these teachings: humility. And that's where our journey continues. Humility is not about lowering yourself or pretending to be small. No. It's about knowing your place in the great dance of life and honoring everyone else's place in it too. I once spoke with an elderly gardener named Walter. He spent his life growing vegetables for his community. Nothing fancy, just tomatoes, carrots, potatoes. But people respected Walter deeply, not because he boasted, but because he listened, because he shared without pride, because he never claimed to know everything, even though he knew more than most. The soil teaches you, he said. It doesn't need to shout. That's humility, and it's magnetic. It makes people want to hear what you have to say. It makes your words carry weight, not because they're loud, but because they come from someone who's learned to speak with the heart, not the ego. Living humbly doesn't mean keeping your voice quiet. It means letting your actions speak louder. It means giving credit to others, acknowledging mistakes, asking for help when you need it. And when people see that in you, they don't see weakness, they see strength. The kind of strength that earns lasting respect. Closely tied to humility is the lesson of forgiveness. And oh, how freeing this one is. Carrying anger or bitterness is like dragging a heavy stone through life. You might forget it's there, but it wears you down. Buddhism teaches us that forgiveness is not about excusing what's wrong. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of pain. There was a woman named Ruth I met at a local meditation group. In her 70s, she had been carrying anger toward her sister for nearly 40 years. "I thought holding on to it made me strong," she said, "but it only made me tired." When she finally forgave, not with words, but with her heart, she said she slept better than she had in years. Her face softened, her spirit lightened, and her family noticed. They didn't say anything at first, but they treated her differently, with more warmth, more care. Because forgiveness doesn't just release the one you're forgiving, it releases you. It opens the door to peace, and when people see someone who can rise above resentment, they can't help but admire them. And that leads us into one of the most beautiful lessons of all, inner peace. It's not just something you feel during meditation. It's something you carry into how you drive, how you answer the phone, how you respond to challenges. Inner peace is the result of all the other lessons coming together. Mindfulness, compassion, patience, humility, forgiveness. You don't have to be a monk or live in a mountaintop monastery to find it. You can find it in your own living room, in your breath, in your tea, in a quiet morning or a silent evening. Inner peace is not loud, it's not showy, it's steady, calm, real, and that calmness changes things. People speak differently to someone who radiates peace. They pause. They reflect. They respect. Let me ask you something gently. What brings you peace? Is it a memory, a place, a practice? Whatever it is, make room for it, nurture it, let it guide how you show up in the world. Because the more peace you create within yourself, the more respect you'll quietly receive from others without ever having to ask for it. Now, before we end, there's one more thread I want to weave into this tapestry. Self-compassion. It may be the quietest of all lessons, but it is one of the most essential. To treat yourself with gentleness, especially when you fall short, is not weakness. It is wisdom. Because if you don't show yourself respect, how can you expect it from others? Speak to yourself kindly. Don't replay old mistakes again and again. Don't tell yourself stories of not being enough. You have lived. You have tried. You are here. That alone deserves compassion. And finally, know this. When you live aligned with these Buddhist lessons, not perfectly, but sincerely, you become someone others look to for guidance, for calm, for comfort. Respect is no longer something you hope for. It is something you embody. So take these teachings, not as rules, but as invitations. Invitations to breathe more deeply, speak more kindly, forgive more often, and love more freely. To be someone who brings peace, not tension, who listens more than they speak, who lives gently but firmly. You don't need to prove your worth. Your life already holds immense value. These lessons simply help clear away the dust so that light can shine through more clearly. If something in today's video resonated with you, maybe a reminder or a new insight, I invite you to share it in the comments. Let others hear your voice. Let them feel your presence. And if you found this journey helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Not for us, but for you, so you can stay connected to gentle, grounding reminders like this. The world moves fast, but your peace doesn't have to. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to grow, to reflect, to live kindly and wisely. The world needs more of that. The world needs more of you. Until next time, take good care of your breath, your heart, and your spirit. You are deeply, quietly, beautifully worthy of respect, just as you are.